Good morning, everybody. It's Lisa from Barclay Jones here. Sorry about the tech nightmare at the beginning of this. We are going to make a start. I hope everyone's well. Just so I know that you can all hear me, could you please go to your chat facility on your GoToWebinar chat panel and just tell me where you're dialing in from, please? We've got Leicester. Oh, not good news about your manager this morning. We've got Harrogate. Someone's put no, Bournemouth. Is it nice and sunny down there? Did anybody suffer with the horrible storms and the winds last night? Anybody want to talk about the complete nightmare? My husband got trapped in London yesterday, couldn't get back. I certainly was in Birchwood trying to get back, had to get taxis into Manchester and then across. It was all a bit of a nightmare. Hello, Katie. Talking about you this morning. Right. Okay, looks like we've got everybody online, which is great. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming online. I am joined by a very special guest this morning. Let's just quickly talk about Barclay Jones before we begin. So you probably know who we are, but if you don't, we work with recruiters, exclusively with recruiters, on three elements. Our three pillars are recruitment technology, so we'll work with you on things like job board posting, Broadbean, all your IT strategy. We'll work with you on your social media and digital marketing. So we mentor Furcroft, NES, right down to the much smaller, cuter businesses out there, and we also really focus on recruiter success training as well in terms of helping recruiters become more effective at their desks with systems, Bullhorn, Broadbean, LinkedIn, BondAdapt, adverts, content, etc. Right then, I am joined by the lovely Tracey Barrett. I'll let her introduce herself in a second. My name is Lisa Jones. We're obviously here today to get you all energised for the weekend and obviously to talk to you about what to stop. Tracey, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, good morning everybody. My name's Tracey Barrett. I'm Managing Director of BlueSky PR and we're a boutique comms consultancy specialising in the recruitment, HR and talent management sectors, and we create great content for recruiters to disseminate across all their channels. We do blogs, we do PR, we do white papers, we write award submissions, and we advise on PR and comms strategies. And that's me.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you very much, Tracey. Right then, we won an award recently and we were absolutely delighted. We love the UK Recruiter and we are massive awards fans anyway. We're actually launching an awards pack today to help recruiters, whether they want to enter an award or not, generate money from them. That's all I'll say. If you want to get a copy of that awards pack as it goes live in the next couple of hours, please put the word award in your chat box and we'll send that out to you as soon as it goes live. But we won Agency Influencer, and I keep telling my kids what that actually means. It basically means that people listen to me and they go, what? Yeah, funny joke. So yeah, I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. If you know what I'm talking about, you might just want to put an exclamation mark in your chat facility because they drive you flipping nuts. So anyway, we're delighted to have been recognised as an agency influencer for this year. Which of you are on Twitter? Put the word Twitter into your chat facility, please, and maybe even your Twitter name so we can start engaging with you. I've got the lovely Rhiannon from my marketing team watching the stream today. We're obviously going to be watching out for you mentioning hashtag #RecruitClever. We are Barclay_Jones, and obviously the lovely Tracey is BlueSky PR, so please be sure to engage. So we are here to hopefully add some common sense. I'd like to think we're quite a rational, passionate business, if there's such a lovely dichotomy. Brexit, Trump, UKIP was on the news this morning, Leicester was on the news, all this stuff making the world feel very complex. And of course, Trump this morning decided he wants to go to Sainsbury's and buy some more nuclear weapons as well. So we've got that to think about. And at the same time, if you're a marketer within your business, I bet you're doing stuff every day that you'll probably, if you had the option, you'd chew a wasp over instead because you just think, this ain't doing anything for my business. Why am I still having to do it? So are you basically sick of people just like me and Tracey saying, buy this new thing or change this or increase this? Or maybe, oh, look, I may not have generated a lead, but at least someone liked my tweet, because that's all you can really put your finger on. And obviously what we're looking to do is just stop the bus, say, right, are there things that you can be forgiven for just dropping? So I was with a client yesterday who this time last year was spending £240,000 on job boards. And when he came in to be their new marketing lead, he looked at that and he went, oh, I'm going to turn off that, and that, reduce the cost of the job boards to 120 grand and actually build more this year. That's not bad. And I'm a big fan of sometimes you have to turn things off to figure out whether or not they were actually doing you any good. So we're going to talk about what things we'd like you to stop this year and what things you maybe could be forgiven for just going enough already. But we want to find out who you are before we start. So could you please tell me with your mouse on the screen imminently who you are? Take a few seconds to answer that question. Beautiful. We're going to close that poll down now. That's lovely. Thank you very much for that, everybody. And then the next question I want to know is, are you suffering from anything right now? Not like my 9-year-old, his ears were hurting this morning. That was his barrier to going to school. His ears were hurting. But maybe you suffer from a lack of time, lack of tech. There's a bit of a disconnect between you and sales. Maybe your superiors, even your peers don't always understand what to ask you to do, etc. And maybe people just don't get what you do. Is life very, very difficult? Is it hard? Do we just suffer from an immediate, a huge list of first world problems on a daily basis? Lovely. Thank you very much, everybody. Now I'm actually going to share that poll so at least you can sort of wax lyrical to each other and see what everyone's thinking. Fairly standard responses. Lovely. And I want you to go to your chat box this time, and if there's anything, it could be just one thing, and don't say eating chocolate and drinking gin, because we both know that these things are not achievable or relevant, but what would you stop, as a marketeer, what would you stop doing this year if you could really just turn it off and say, I'm sick of doing this, it doesn't add any value? What would that be? Just pop that into your chat box for me, please, and let's see what we're getting through. I always worry about reading these out loud before reading them first, just in case someone's doing the Go F Yourself San Diego from Anchorman. Let's see whether or not if anyone's dared. We're hearing a Twitter there from Tracy. Having to search for content and get content from recruiters. I've got just the tip for you on that one. Facebook. That's interesting, Alexandra. You and I need to have a chat because Facebook is actually a particularly awesome bit of kit for recruitment and marketing. It's just not awesome if you don't use it as well as you could. But anyway, stop being given all the jobs people don't want. Danny, I don't dispute that. Give me some examples of what that might be, because that might make me chuckle. I won't read them out, I promise. Using a separate database to the consultants. Absolutely agree with this. If we are going to do anything differently in the next few years, we're going to say to our clients, yeah, you've got access to LinkedIn, just like we have. Who cares? We've got our own internal system, and it might have 50,000 people on it, but 10,000 of those are warm, hot-to-trot candidates who love working with us, who are really loyal to us. Come over here if you think you're hard enough. Oh, by the way, we're just going to put our prices up because we know that you need access to this data. That's what it used to be like in recruitment. LinkedIn should simply speed up the recruiting process. It shouldn't disrupt it. It really shouldn't. Things like Twitter, things like Facebook should guide more great data onto your internal system so recruiters and marketeers can use it effectively to sell. End of. It's not a dumping ground, and it's certainly not something that's disparate from marketing. Someone's being asked to cut and stick and print. Danny, I'm going to send you my colouring in department blog. You'll love it. So it seems to be that you're being asked to do stuff that isn't really generating ROI for your business, and then at the same time you're being told that you need to generate ROI for your business, which is a bit of a shame. So you can tell whose side I'm on this one. We've got lots of stop content. We've actually launched a stop ebook based on lots of recruitment leaders that we've spoken to, and we've got loads of stop content around what to stop with your recruitment technology, what to stop doing with your business, what to stop doing with your job advert. So if you're interested in this, could you please put the word stop into your chat facility, and we'll send you not just the ebook, but we'll send you links to those webinars, and you can just put them on in the car. By the way, some of our webinars you don't have to watch, you can just listen. So never be worried about having them on while you're trying to do something else. But if you want to put the word stop in, we'll send you all of this stuff. It's really, really useful. I think none of us spend enough time on our business. We're far too busy in our business or cutting or photocopying. So Tracy and I are massively passionate about working with successful recruiters, massively. And we like bossing them around, and we also like injecting some passion, improving mental health, improving value, success and profit. And we always work with clients who literally heads in hands on a regular basis, marketers, heads in hands on a regular basis. So as much as we can see all the content out there saying, do this, buy this, add this extension, use this for Chrome, use this for Internet Explorer, write this, do this, post this, it's like, seriously, stop the bus. So that's why we've come up with this concept for Stop. And obviously Tracey, I'm delighted, is joining me to help me with the marketing piece today. Because we've got to generate some ROI. And if you are one of my mentees, because I work with lots of lovely marketeers helping them generate ROI, you'll have come across this tech model where we're a big fan of creating time. Interestingly, one of you said that time was a real issue for you. You have more time, you can do more work, end of. If you're a recruiter, you have more time, you make more placements. You have more time, you make more phone calls, which is the one thing your boss wants you to do more of. If you do things right from marketing or recruiting perspective, you generate better emotions. That sounds a bit fluffy, but it also basically means is when your boss goes to a networking event and his competitors say, John, you're all over the place right now. I can really see you're getting somewhere. Your boss is going to come back to you and go, thanks for that. That's really, really good. Great emotional state. And that can really help you in your appraisal. Content is important. It's important from two perspectives. One, the content of your content. So the content of your tweets, your jobs, but very importantly, and this is the most important job for a marketeer, is to demonstrate that they can improve the content of the database. The content of your bullhorn system, your bombarded system. That's the bit that your recruiters basically work to improve, or should be. That's the bit recruiters will join your business to get access to. That's the bit your clients will pay for access to. And that's the bit that KPMG will audit when your boss comes to sell. So very important to think about that. We want to improve clicks to our website, to our tweets. We want to improve all those impressions, and we want to reduce them for our recruiters. So clicks are important. Clearly improving our community is absolutely critical. We have a better community, a stickier community. We can absolutely get better placements. And ultimately, cash is king. But we have to do a lot of things to earn cash in this world. And I really want you to be thinking about what Tracey and I are going to talk about in terms of how you can generate ROI by stopping doing some stuff that maybe you're sick of doing. I'm going to hand over to Tracey in a second, but I'm just going to start off a poll for her. So I want to know, how often does your firm appear in the media, not including the recruitment press? So forget the recruiter, forget UK Recruiter, Undercover Recruiter. But if you are in nursing, Nursing Weekly, if you are in construction, how often does your firm appear in the recruitment press? Just grab your mice and quickly answer those questions for me. Okay, I'm closing the poll. Right. So I'm going to let you digest that, Tracey, because you're coming on very soon. Right then. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking part in that data. It's really important to us because, funnily enough, we like collecting data while we're doing these webinars. So, Tracey, over to you.
Thank you very much. Could I have my first slide, Lisa? I seem to have lost the PowerPoint. There we go. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is stop looking at PR as a vanity project and have some objectives and measure outcomes. So next slide. Thanks, Lisa. So 25% of you that actually said you were appearing in your specialist press once a month. Congratulations, that's pretty good. The great majority of you were saying hardly ever. And when I talk to recruiters, particularly marketeers in recruitment firms, about PR and press coverage, they always say that their MDs and their CEOs want in the FT or the Times or the Independent. But they very rarely ask them why. Quite often, we know, don't we, that lots of MDs and CEOs have got big egos in recruitment. The next time your CEO asks you that question, just ask them why. Because it shouldn't be a vanity project. It needs to deliver some ROI. It needs to be a business development tool. And for one thing, if you're in the FT all the Times, that's great. You know, it's probably only going to be a couple of lines or a paragraph, but it's really bloody difficult to share because they're quite often behind paywalls. So being able to sort of disseminate that coverage out through all your different channels is going to be really, really difficult. And isn't it better to have, 500 words of thought leadership in Nursing Times or Accountancy Age or eFinancial Careers or whatever your particular specialist trade publication is, rather than a few lines in the FT that you can't actually share, so it's going to be forgotten about the day after. So I think about that. And think out and ask your MDs and CEOs, if you're going to embark on a PR program as part of the content strategy, what are the objectives? You know, do you need more candidates? Do you need more clients? Do you need them in a particular geography? Do you need them in a particular sector? Do you need more consultants? So is it an employer of choice campaign that you're looking at? What are the actual objectives? Because without that, you can't really embark on any form of strategy. And plan where you need to be seen. You know, where are these people hanging out and what are they reading? And how many of your consultants are actually asking your clients and candidates what they're reading? That's really important because we assume a lot of stuff. Your CEO might think they're all reading the FT, but they might not be. You know, they might be reading, you know, GQ magazine. They might be reading Cosmopolitan. There are lots of data that you need to collect to be able to plan your PR strategy. And then it's about really sharing it. So, you know, how often have your consultants shown their mum that they're in, you know, accountancy age, or how many of you have put your press coverage into a folder in reception? And those people have already found you. You know, they know about you already. So make sure that you're sharing all those links through as many channels as you possibly can. As Lisa would say, make sure you're stretching that content. Turn it into a blog, you know, turn it into an infographic. Put it on your LinkedIn company page. Get your consultants to recycle it into their business development efforts, because that's where you're going to get your real ROI. How do you actually measure it? So next slide, please, Lisa. So it's often seen as a bit fluffy, isn't it, and a bit of a nice to have, and we can't really measure it, and, you know, we've had a bad quarter, so we're going to stop investing in that for a while. I've heard that a lot of times. It's really about just having a robust process and understanding how it can actually deliver ROI for your business. So, you know, look at the outputs. Look at the outputs that you're sharing in terms of your press coverage. Are they getting read? Are they getting shared? And who are they getting shared by? And by whom? And, you know, what's happening to your LinkedIn company page followers? What's happening to your website traffic? What's happening to your individual consultants' LinkedIn profile views? And what are they doing about it? You know, are we just collecting new followers, or are we actually looking at those and thinking, do you know what, that could be a lead, and that's come from marketing, and that's quite cool. What's the follow-up engagement plan? You know, there has to be a process of measurement and then following up as an engagement strategy to build that perhaps new talent pool that your consultants haven't actually engaged with before. And then what are your people actually doing with the coverage? You know, are they, as I said, sharing it with their mum? Are they sticking it in a folder? Or are they actually sharing it with their clients? You know, taking it to PSL meetings, taking it to new business pictures, emailing out a bit of thought leadership to say, hey guys, I thought you might be quite interested in this. Because you know what, when they do that, magic can happen. Next slide, please, Lisa. So the proof of the pudding. So we recently did a piece for European Oil and Gas magazine for one of our clients on really exciting subject, rise of the process engineer. But you know what, it obviously turned some people on, because that client sent out the links to all his potential clients, and look what happened. So the content's really done its job, the PR's done its job. You know, it's not up to marketing to fill those assignments as the content brought that business in, but that's your ROI. And that's me on that section.
So 58% of recruitment businesses are top secret. Top secret. Let's market to ourselves. Great strategy. Don't know if you know, I'm obviously taking the mick here, but I just find that incredible when I go into recruitment businesses and look at it from a marketing perspective, and I'm saying, you know, if all you're going to do is market to yourself, then that's just crazy town. You've obviously got to widen your net. And at the same time, their goals are to improve their brand, improve their reach, improve their candidate attraction, relevant candidate attraction, but still they spend more time talking about themselves to each other than they do actually going online and talking to nurses about nurses, which kind of, you know, is obvious when you say it like that. Tracy, really, really helpful. Thank you. Right, so next question for you, please. Are you seeing ROI from your content? So grab your mice, please, and tick a box. Takes you 10 seconds, if that, and then we can crack on. Lovely. Okay, I'm closing the poll now. And we're just going to share that so we can all see the horrid results. Fantastic. Brilliant. So the fact that you're generating leads and talent is great. I can't get a handle on generating leads. It's almost 50-50. But what I would ask those of you that are generating leads and talent, do your recruiters and or bosses ever question the relevancy of those leads and candidates? Because I still go into recruitment businesses where the marketers are desperate to generate quality leads that are convertible and candidates that are placeable, but they're always being swatted away by a busy recruiter who's far too busy making cold calls to want to convert that data. Or all they're doing is generating talent which is already on their systems. So they're basically constantly spending money re-attracting candidates that have been on their systems for some time. Just maybe make a comment in your comments panel about that. I'm getting a few people agreeing. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to kind of do a bit of a joint thing here. We obviously want to talk about stopping creating content and marketing it. Now, people talk to me about content strategies, and I am one of these girls that does get the difference between goals, strategies and tactics. And ultimately, the goal is the biggest piece, that when you say so what at the end of it, I'm going to create a blog, so what, then you can immediately think, well, that clearly isn't a goal. Because if you can say so what and you can't really, oh, well, it's going to sort of hopefully improve my brand. So what? So again, improving a brand is never a goal. That is a strategy to a higher purpose. Ultimately, as marketers, your goals should be to generate convertible leads and to generate placeable talent, and potentially to generate placeable recruiters, as in pull them into your own business. Because if we're not attracting talent into our own businesses, then we might as well just shut up shop and go home. 60 to 70% of recruitment leaders polled by APSCO last year said they were absolutely terrified of trying to do their own recruitment this year because they knew how difficult it's going to be for them. But that is the catalyst to making more money. So please remember, for me personally, content is simply a tactic to a much higher purpose. And once you put it in that place, it makes more sense. Because there isn't actually a content shortage. Trust me, if you sat down today and looked online, you'd be swamped in content. And actually, most of it's pants, technical term. There's a lot of crap content out there. There's a relevant content shortage, definitely, and Tracey's just admitted that because of this 58%, 42% split on whether or not you're seen outside the recruitment press. Then keeping your brand secret is not a great strategy. And often what I find is people have got an Excel spreadsheet with a load of cells filled in and some, or maybe even a Word document with an idea of what they want to write, but that's just a plan. That's just an intention. That's not a strategy. It's not even a goal. And often what we find as well is you lovely marketeers, because you are being asked to photocopy, print, rewrite adverts, whatever it is that's taking away from pure marketing, you might spend a lot of time creating content and not enough time marketing it. And often what I do when I go into businesses is I look at the content plan and I split them down the middle and say, chuck that in the bin and let's work with this and make it better. And I've got a concept called content stretching, which we will talk about, as Tracey mentioned, thank you. But I've widened that recently to content yoga, God forbid. So I just think we've got to start thinking really, really cleverly about our content. There's too much planning, but not enough ROI. And there's too much posting and running like the wind. Tracey, talk to us about clickbait.
So yeah, so this is just something I wanted to throw in about thinking about what's going to make somebody actually read your content. And it's that old, it's real basics about thinking about headlines, like always writing the title of your essay last rather than first. But Forbes, which is obviously a huge news platform, does this all the time and tests headlines throughout the day just to see what effects it has on readership. So, if you think about all those Facebook posts that you see, if you open the door, you'll never believe what happened next. And you think, actually, I want to know. So you click on it. So when you're writing your content, don't just have, 5 ways that nurses can make their CV better, because we just all want to go in and buy when we read that sort of stuff. But think about what's going to really sort of make them click that link. And if you look at what Forbes has done here, they were talking about Abbott Laboratories ditching its drug business. So before, it had 795 clicks, and then just a little bit of playing around with words, a 277% increase. So I think we can all learn a little bit from that. And, think about, and this is the sort of Lisa's stretching, and yeah, I love that, Lisa, I love that. Yoga, content yoga. Make sure you're leveraging any press coverage that you've got in as many ways as possible. So, you know, turn it into a blog post and link back to the original article, because if it's a credible source, Google's going to love you for it. You know, turn it into an infographic, take a photograph of the coverage and put it on Instagram, you know, and just stretch it in as many places as you can think about, and continue sharing it so that you're seen as a thought leader in that space.
I'm just going to add to that. The reason I've come up with this sort of yoga idea is we're actually in a building with a load of yoga teachers. So on the stairs, we're regularly intimidated by their extremely muscly bodies and ability to get down the stairs without even touching the floor. And we look at content and we see, you know, I was with a client yesterday and we said, right, go away and go find out all the awards in your sector. Again, not recruitment, but in oil and gas, nursing, construction, legal, accountancy. Go away and find out the awards and come back. Right, now you've got a list of awards that are happening in your sector throughout this year. What are you going to do? And the answer was, bless them, we're going to tweet about them on the day. And I was like, try again. What can you do? And we spent 20 minutes devising an entire content plan just around awards. So things like, and this is what content yoga or content stretching is about, which is, let's create a blog listing the awards in our sector. That's what phase one. Then we take that blog and we say, let's create an infographic of the blog, phase two. And we can then, if we create, almost like if you imagine we've got 10 awards, Tracy, we've got those 10 awards listed on an infographic, and then use your snipping tool on your PC, for God's sake, snip those awards out and post them separately on Instagram. I hope you all can all see where I'm taking this. It's a bit like, I always say to a client, get that blog, put it on the desk and blow it up. What falls down? How does it segment? Where can you stick it? The blog is not the end of the content strategy. It is the beginning. The content is the beginning. And often when I work with Tracy with clients, one of the things that she's regularly banging her head against the brick wall is she's written some great content and then the client doesn't do anything with it, apart from put it in the press. Which press is great, but you've got all this social and digital stuff as well. So don't abdicate responsibility to the blog for marketing itself. Take it and grow it into something. And you'll often find you'll be creating less content and doing more marketing on the back of that. And this is really what this slide is about. I want you to do more with less. I want you to use your channels more successfully. I want you to make sure and understand that just because you write something doesn't mean everyone wakes up and looks. They've all got different ways of thinking, and I apologize for that. It's just the way we're built as humans. My personal favorite social media stream of all time is Instagram. And why is that? Because I get it. I can turn it on, I can scroll through, and I get loads of stuff within seconds. I don't have to read anything. It's just boom, boom, boom. I can share from it. The stuff makes sense to me. It's a really easy system to use. And as a result of that, if people post on Instagram, I'm going to wake up to it more. Other of your clients and contacts are going to prefer Twitter and Facebook. You've just got to get your head around that. So I'm not necessarily going to suggest you create loads of less content, but I'm absolutely going to suggest that whatever you have got, you've got to stretch it and market it more effectively. Right, moving on. Tell me how you feel about your job adverts, please, ladies and gents. Just about to close the poll, so grab your mice, please, ladies and gentlemen. So some not so shocking stats here. I don't want to do any of you down because the fact that you've shared some content with me is fantastic. But isn't it a shame that the most important content that a recruiter stroke marketer will ever be responsible for is the one that they get the least return on investment from? Or the one that we spend the least amount of time on? The average recruiter spends 5 minutes repurposing a crappy spec from an HR department. And then they'll post it once onto LinkedIn during the day when their candidates aren't even online. And then they'll say to me, well, adverts don't work. And I'll go, yeah, kind of yours don't, do they? And there's a reason for that. So I'm massively passionate about fixing this. And we actually run a really cool workshop on innovating adverts. And some of my clients are actually on the call today. So here we go. So let's just close that poll down and kick on with some ideas around what you can do with your adverts. So don't blame the advert. It probably is the advert that's the problem, but the person who wrote it might actually be the problem after all. And potentially the streams and the way you're repurposing that advert might be the issue as well. Let's just quickly talk about the history of the advert. So adverts have been around for a while, and here's just a bit of fun for you for this morning. And obviously we found this, and I just thought, well, does that look like a job advert? You know, maybe it does, we don't know. But just after the dinosaurs came along, people started putting stuff on walls. That's what an advert is ultimately. And then a few years later, the Egyptians decided to do it one up because they always are a little bit better with things. Isn't that a much nicer thing? So obviously owls, snails and rope makers, whatever that advert is telling us. And then the printing press comes along and then it all goes to crap. Or does it? Actually, this is when we started making a lot of money from jobs. And when I was doing this research, I was actually finding like the first ever job advert in the 1600s and things like that. And then there were some in the Victorian period, which were absolutely hysterical. And if ever you want to have a bit of a giggle, just go onto Google and type in Victorian job adverts and see what you can find. There's some stunners in there. Not that most of us have time to do that as marketeers. But anyway, in my younger days, in the early 2000s, the printing run used to happen on a Wednesday, Thursday, and we used to sell our adverts to our clients for extortionate amounts of money, but probably because we were putting an extortionate amount of time and creativity in. We actually outsourced the design of the advert to professionals, i.e. Printers and marketeers, and we made a flipping fortune on adverts. And then social media and job boards come along and we totally abdicate responsibility to the advert to our HR contacts or our clients who have abdicated to us. It's a bit of like an abdication tennis match. No, you're writing the advert, you're the right. Okay, well, I just post what you've given me, which means I'm not going to actually charge you anything. And that also means I'm not going to spend any time on it. And that means I'm not going to get anything from it either. And it's kind of like self-fulfilling. And then we end up with systems that allow us to squirt data all over the place and us not to take any responsibility for it. And I'm a bit like looking at this advert going, really? Is this as good as we get? That you're basically forcing me to click on loads of stuff to read things because you can't be bothered to pitch it more effectively. So we're just posting specs and running away and then blaming the advert. It's not the advert's fault. Candidates are really itching for new jobs out there. They just need to be told that they exist. It's because we don't charge for adverts and we don't spend time on them, we're demonstrating to clients that actually the adverts that we do write or don't write work. And then our clients say, well, hold on a minute. All I see you doing is writing crap adverts and then sending me CVs. I think I'll have a go at that myself because LinkedIn have just called me with a really good deal on LinkedIn Recruiter. Is anyone suffering from that right now? Give me a LinkedIn Recruiter or a yes if maybe your recruiters are regularly not having meetings anymore about how great they are, but actually, well, we have the same access to data as you do, so let's totally disrupt this conversation, which I think is a real shame. Yeah, we're getting lots of yeses. So 2017, let's sort this out, people. Job adverts actually have a job to do, and they're not just to place candidates. We obviously want to increase the relevant number of responses. We also want to have extra candidates to spec out. In olden days, in 1472, a recruiter would advertise a job, get really good responses through, all by paper, sometimes by fax. And they would go through them and they'd have two piles at the end, crap and really good. And the really good ones then would be segmented again into ones to spec out, and they do regular mail shots and e-shots saying, I've got these extra candidates, what do you think? So they might place one advert, everybody, but they place 4 or 5 candidates from it. Gorgeous, nice, low cost of placement. Obviously, we want to increase our connections and followers. We want to build our company brand, all that lovely, fluffy stuff. I do think we want to put our clients back in the boxes. And what we mean by this is, right, Mr. Client, can we stop querying how fabulous I am at this and whether or not we've got access to the same data? Can we just sign and get on with this because we're wasting time? I'm really good at writing adverts. I've got a fantastic warm database of talent that I just need to ring and they'll go, what do you want? I'm ready for you. And the client will go, yeah, actually, I need to make more widgets and I need to save more lives, so I'll stop trying to do my own recruitment. We need to get back to there. And ultimately, we need to support the internal recruitment process because with great job adverts comes competitors looking at us going, something going on over there. That looks really cool. I've got one particular client near Birmingham who we've really upped the ante with. I'm mentoring their 2 marketeers right now. We've done a load of work about improving the brand, improving adverts, improving LinkedIn, improving the content, improving the social media. And the operations director on a weekly basis is getting 1 to 2 recruiters coming to him saying, you've really woken things up. I like what you do. Can we have a coffee? And he's going, Lisa, my internal recruitment bill has literally disappeared. And now I'm pushing recruiters out of the door because I've basically sport for choice, which isn't that a fantastic outcome? So just please stop creating job adverts for code breakers. I am a big fan of being really clear and clean about what it is you are trying to do. So in other words, stop trying to attract sales mangas Stop writing job specs that don't mean anything to the person who's actually a specialist in that area. Think about as well, stop treating job adverts as admin. They're sales. Ultimately, job adverts are sales tools. And obviously, creating overly long or overly short job adverts as well. I've got some stats that I can send out. If you put job adverts in your chat box, I will send you an infographic with some really cool tips on these things that I'm talking about right now that you can take away straight away and start training your recruiters to do better. And also, please stop thinking there's a best time to post and stop reading all these blogs that tell you, oh, candidates are online at this time. You've got to look at your own website and when people are online. You've got to look at your job boards and when people are most likely to apply. But this is the rub. You are only looking at the data of the people who are looking at you right now and getting, in inverted commas, facts on when they're online. What you need is facts on when your overall ideal community is online. And I tell you something, follow a wonk. Try not to say that too quickly after a few gins, is a fantastic system to help you spot your competitive communities and when they are online. They're the ones you're trying to attract. Stop marketing to yourselves. Stop thinking there's a best time to post. The blogs out there are generic. Even I don't know the answer. I would always say to my clients, we've got to look at this. You're an education recruiter. Let's look at when teachers are most likely to be online. Let's look at all of your competitors and when they're online and when their candidates are online, and let's build a marketing strategy around facts, not a blog that someone in 1872 wrote because they turned a clock on and everyone seemed to be online. Please stop making your job look so easy. Stop making it look so easy. Writing a great innovative advert is bloody hard. But actually, aren't recruiters supposed to be really good at this stuff? Don't we market ourselves as being niche? So I'm going to get off my box for a few seconds and hand over to Tracy. But can you please answer this question via the poll? What does a press release mean for you? Grab your mice, quickly answer the question. Couple more seconds. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Right, I'm going to hand over to Tracy to have a look at those stats and carry on with the next section.
Okay, so yeah, very interesting stats with lots to say, but I don't know how to create and send them. Okay, so I think one of the things I really want recruiters to stop doing, can we just have the slides up, Lisa, is to send out press releases about what you do. No one really cares. If we look at the next slide, I read a lot of press releases from recruiters, and 9 out of 10 of them talk about what they do rather than what they actually know. And slight caveat to this, lots of press releases that talk about what recruiters do will be covered by the recruitment press. Obviously, you're just sort of marketing to each other, and that's fine if you've got an employer of choice problem. If you want to actually try and attract recruiters to work for your brand, then absolutely send out press releases about opening new offices, new people joining you, and growth and all that lovely stuff. Outside of that, nobody's interested, and that goes really for, you know, not just press releases, but all the content you're creating, because so much of it talks about what recruiters do, you know, how great you are, what services you offer, why clients should be using you, the fact that you've just painted your office wall green. But nobody cares. What they really care about is what you know about. Journalists are really interested in what you know about. And you know what? You know a lot. Your guys know a lot. If we look at the next slide, what do you actually know about? What you know about is the people agenda. You know lots about the people agenda. That's what you're qualified to talk about. And if you look at if you think about the PwC or Deloitte, I can never remember which it is, have a CEO survey that comes out every year that talks about what keeps CEOs awake at night. And what keeps CEOs awake at night is how are they going to attract and source and retain the best people for their business. And the best people to give them those answers are recruiters. But recruiters go on about what they do rather than what they know. It's something that's always puzzled me. So, you know, what do you know about? You know about things going up, things going down, you know about skill shortages, you know about what's driving those skill shortages, you know about talent pools and talent puddles and talent pipelines. you know about global and regional comparisons, you know about the future workplace, you know about diversity, you know loads and loads of stuff. So why aren't you writing about that in your content and in the press rather than about we offer a really good service and we're very people focused? Because nobody gives a damn. So how can you actually demonstrate all that knowledge that you know about? Loads of stuff. So for example, have a look at your data. You know, the data that you have in your business is massive. How can you slice and dice that data to create stories for the press? What's happened to salaries over the last 5 years? What's happened to benefits? What's happened to motivations? Are there any particular skills that were in huge demand 5 years ago that aren't anymore? Lots and lots of data, regional comparisons, global comparisons. Have a look at what you can do with that. If you run events, sort of round tables or networking events with your candidates and clients, why not have a sign-up survey, just a little sign-up question that gives you some data to hang a story off that you can put out into the press, or have a round table with some of your clients and record the conversation and write it up as a white paper. It's really simple stuff, but it's a really good way of demonstrating your knowledge. General surveys, survey your clients, survey your candidates, ask them a question. You know, it could be what do they think the impact of Brexit is going to have on talent? You know, have a look at what's happening in the news that you could ask their opinion on. Have a look at, human interest stories. There's loads of placements within the organisation that are actually quite interesting. When I was in recruitment, sometime in the 18th century, we actually had an assignment to fill an FD role with, it was called FD Bungee, the bungee jumping company. And everybody that joined that company, whether they were an accountant, whether they were a secretary, whether they were a marketing person, had to do a bungee jump. So we got Accountant Stage to come down when we placed this FD. He was a very straight-laced Arthur Anderson. That shows how old I am. Arthur Anderson, accountant who had to do a bungee jump. Really good human interest story. It got loads of press coverage. Public information. Any of you who are recruiting in the public sector, freedom of information requests are a fantastic source of information that then you can then disseminate. So we were doing some work for a healthcare recruiter who were not very happy about the agency cap for obvious reasons, and we did a public information request about which agencies were trusts using, and we found that actually trusts were using loads of off-framework agencies and therefore overspending, and on the front page of the Times. And actually the recruiter was able to use that as a business development tool and go in and help people turn around their agency spend. So the ROI from that was massive. What's already in the news. So, set up a calendar of newsworthy events, or just have a look through the paper. I bet if you look through the paper today, there's about 4 or 5 things that you could piggyback on talent. You look at succession planning with Claudio Ranieri being sacked. You could piggyback and turn that into quite a nice news release. I'm sorry I'm so croaky, by the way, everybody. I've got a bit of a sore throat this morning. So lots and lots of ways that you can actually demonstrate your knowledge in terms of what you do, what you know, rather than what you do. Get a lot more interest in that from the press and from your readers and anything else. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, everybody, quick poll for you. How do your recruiters feel about marketing? Here we go. You've got your opportunity. Just tick a button. Let's have. I am not a recruitment basher, because actually I adore recruiters, most of them. She says, very passionate about the industry, but there is a disconnect, and that often causes overspend, underspend, underinvestment, overinvestment, lack of ROI, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm closing the poll now. Thank you very much. Let's have a look at the results. So a 71-29 split. Interesting stuff as usual. Right then, everybody, thank you very much. That's the last poll. You can relax a little bit now. Right, so let's talk about some things. I am a big fan of billers being able to bill. I am a big fan of billers not blaming marketing or IT or training or finance or operations for when they can't bill. I used to be an IT director for recruitment, and regularly when they weren't hitting target, they blamed downtime. So very quickly we used to have downtime back then. You don't really have downtime anymore. But back in the day, we used to have downtime. Either the bonded app system was down, because that's what we had back then, or the internet was down, or I don't know, they were wearing the wrong pants or whatever it was. But there was always a reason why billers didn't bill, and it was never necessarily blessing their fault. And I kind of understood that. So what I started to do over time was demonstrating ROI, one, by measuring uptime and regularly promoting that, by the way, because marketeers are often a bit crap at their own internal PR because they're far too busy looking after everyone else. They're not thinking about telling people what it is they can do. They're too busy telling people what they've got time for. So every time you ask me to photocopy this thing, I'm not able to go and find you a lead. Choose. Those sorts of things. But at the same time, we kind of do our own injustices by asking billers to write blogs. So a lot of you have said, oh, one of the issues that I get is getting content from recruiters. Well, you can still get content from recruiters, but just don't ask them to stop billing to write a blog for you. I genuinely don't believe this is the case. So I've got some ideas around how to get content from recruiters without asking them to pick up a pen and write a blog. And for those of you who've been on my content workshops, we do this in a lot of detail. If you want to understand more about the content workshops we do to get recruiters working harder for you, please put content in your chat facility and we'll send you out a flyer about the content workshops that we run for recruiters, because they all succeed in getting recruiters delivering content to marketeers without putting down the phone, because we don't want them to do that. We have a concept called pop quiz questions, or PQPs, where we basically suggest to recruiters that once a month they have a question sponsored by marketing that they use as part of their monthly calls, which they should have for all of their great talent. And it could be if they're in HR, how are you dealing with the new Brexit legislation? Or it could be if you're in IT, what are the top apps you use to organise yourself? Or if you're in accountancy, what advice would you give a new accountant who's just qualified in their ACA, etc., etc. Have a 12-month plan or a 3-month plan, one question a month. We've got one client right now that as the answers are given, they're put on a post-it note and put on the PQP wall, and then marketing at the end of every day grab those post-it notes and turn them into content. Flipping awesome. Why would we not do this? You've also got things like quick flip sessions. So again, putting a flip chart up in a room and saying you've got 2 minutes to give me everything you know about awards in our sector. Or you've got 1 minute to give me everything you know about the best place to work in the United Kingdom if you're an accountant. Or you've got 5 minutes to come up with a plan for the best benefits that you think would lure a lawyer to move from one practice to another. They're called quick flips. By the way, we also suggest you do something called slow flips, funnily enough. Rather than being 2 minutes long, you put a flip chart up in the office and you leave it there for a week. And as people are walking past, eating the mince pies or whatever it is they might be doing, they just write their ideas up. And again, at marketing, you go at the end, collect the data, and you do something beautiful. Or you give it to someone like Tracey, who can repurpose it into a press release, stroke blog, stroke content. And as Tracey mentioned earlier, you can survey your database as well. Now, please don't abdicate a phone call in favour of a survey. Never ever do that. You've got qualitative data and you've got quantitative data. Quantitative is normally, and try saying that 3 times as well as follow along, and you'll be in a right tongue twister. Quantitative data is when you hit your database, ask them the question, and you hope to God that 10 or 20% of them come back. Qualitative is probably where you make those phone calls and you actually have discussions and you get quotes from people. Please tell me of a recruiter who doesn't want to make phone calls to a client, and you'll find a boss immediately sat next to them putting their head in their hands. So just think about how you can do pop quiz questions, quick and slow flips, and also surveying your database. And stop asking recruiters to write content. Stop it. Because it's just going to come back on you in a big way. And you're basically just going to boomerang yourself in the face with a recruiter eventually who may not hit target and blames marketing. Get them engaged with their candidates and clients. And again, just like Tracey said, let's develop more knowledge of our sector from the people who are the experts in it, our candidates and clients. So they're all of our stops. But what we want to do is see PR as business development, not just how many times can I get my name mentioned in the recruitment press. Let's create less content, but do more with it, get more ROI. Let's think about our job adverts to convert people, not just to say to the client, well, we advertised it. Let's think about our press releases, talking about us, less about talking about ourselves and more content which makes candidates go, oh, that's right, or actually, yeah, I contributed to that, or I didn't know that. All good stuff. And let's get billers billing. Let's take responsibility. And my biggest mantra in marketing is you can never be targeted on sales, but you can absolutely take the credit for them as marketeers. Every minute you spend not marketing, you've got to be doing something to generate ROI. So please think about what you've learned today. Now, if you want to know more about the workshop that Tracey and I are running in Manchester, which you can get to from anywhere in the world, by the way. I had some people in London go, that's a bit far. Well, people from Manchester go to London quite regularly and they don't need to go into hospital afterwards. So Manchester's a great place to be. And according to Sarah Beanie, it's one of the best places to live in the UK as well. If you want to know more about the marketing workshop we're running, we only have 12 spaces on it. I think we've only got 6 left, actually, the last time I looked. We're running this in March. If you want to know more about the workshop, put workshop into your chat. We run them in London as well every 6 months, so the next one is in September. So put that in there so at least we can put your name down as someone who might be interested. If you want to know more about our mentoring program for recruitment marketeers, and this is for all level of marketeers from chief marketing officers right down to marketing administrators, put mentor into your chat facility and we'll send you some information about that. And if you want to know more about Blue Sky's approach to PR and how she creates compelling content to ultimately generate you leads and talent, please put PR into your chat facility and we'll send you some information about that. We've obviously got a blog, so please subscribe. It's very easy to do. Go to our blog, barclayjones.com/blog, and press the big subscribe button. And obviously connect with us through our different social media channels. We'd love to see you. We've loved having time with you this morning. Thank you very much, everyone. Now go off and create some fantastic content and stretch it. Use your PR agency more effectively. Think about how you're going to improve your job adverts and stopping the billers from billing. And obviously just have a great day, everyone, and enjoy the beautiful sunshine. Take care.